Hello everyone, I am Laethas and welcome back again for another video, and today I have my manga haul for the month of February 2019, coming out a little bit late into March we have here, but nevertheless I have a haul here for you guys today, and without further ado, let's get right into it. To start off with, I have volume 12 of Devil's Line. I believe this series is 13 volumes in total. I think the next volume is the final volume. I've held off on reading this series since I believe the 7th volume, just because it was getting really good, and I kind of wanted to backlog a little bit. And since 13 is going to be the final volume, either 13 or 14, it's one of those two, I just decided to, you know what, just wait for the whole thing. And then finish reading it. But Devil's Line is an excellent series. It's a series featuring vampires. Vampires are always of interest to me, so you know, I really like that, and I think it does a nice job of blending sort of action and romance into a series. So if you're looking for a series with some action, but it doesn't neglect sort of character relationships from a more romantic sense, then I would definitely recommend checking out Devil's Line. Next up, I have the 10th volume for The Ancient Magus Bride. This is, of course, one of the series that the most, well, maybe not the most popular, one of the more popular anime to have come out semi-recently is based off of, and I believe we're caught up to Japan, either that or 11 is out in Japan, so it's going to be a while between volumes, either now or coming up very soon, but I've revved up through volume 7. It took a little bit of warming up to. I'd say the first sort of volume wasn't amazing, but it was enough to get me invested. And then by the second and third volume, the series continued to get better and better as sort of the mysteries of the world started getting sort of told out to me as the reader. And so The Ancient Magus' Bride is definitely a series I would recommend picking up if you're looking for more of a fantasy series that's more of a whimsical fantasy, kind of a blend between a supernatural and a fantasy series as opposed to something like a high fantasy series. If you're looking for fantastical elements in your series, but you aren't looking for some full-blown high fantasy stuff like a Lord of the Rings type deal, then The Ancient Magus Bride is definitely a series I recommend, and I would give it, you know, a couple of volumes before you make your final decision on it. But this is volume 10, very close to Japan, so things are probably going to slow down here, which is a little unfortunate, but you know, what can you do about that? But I definitely recommend The Ancient Magus Bride. Next up, I have the 3-volume series, Soul Liquid Chambers by Nozomu Tamaki. Some of you may know him as the mangaka behind Dance in the Vampire Bund, and I thought this series was still ongoing, but after checking around, it actually is complete at this 3rd volume, kind of. He kind of does his series in a weird way, where he breaks them up into different parts. So this is the end of part 1, and he might be writing a part 2 at some point, or not, I really don't know. But even without that fact, I really enjoyed this series. I think he does a really nice job of putting like the right amount of edge into a series without it being like overbearing. And while it is a little more edge heavy than what I'm typically used to, it isn't over the top enough for me to, you know, break my willing suspension of disbelief. And this is a supernatural fantasy series. Soft sci-fi, fantasy, they're kind of really the same thing. But yeah, kind of does a good job with that. It's fun, the characters, you want to get invested in them. And if you're just looking for a quick series, this is definitely one I would recommend. If, you know, you're looking for more of an action-centric series that isn't afraid to throw that edge in there with some gore and stuff like that, then maybe try this one out. It's only 3 volumes long, as I said, kind of, because of the way he breaks his series up, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I was expecting it to be just a fun romp, but for whatever reason, I ended up liking it a lot. So yeah, if you're looking for an action story, then this is definitely one I recommend. But yeah, Soul Liquid Chambers, complete sort of in 3 volumes. Bit of a surprise for me, but yeah, there it is. Next up, I have the 6th omnibus for To Love Rue. There are going to be 9 of these, so only 3 more to go. And as I've said before, I really want to continue reading this, but I kind of want to backlog more, probably till the end, to sort of get a big chunk of the series sort of read all at once instead of, you know, stopping and stalling every time a volume comes out. But yeah, it's a fun, romantic comedy harem series. I enjoy it. If you're looking for a comedy, if you're looking for a rom-com, this is definitely one I recommend checking out. It has the right amount of quirkiness for characters, I believe, without them being just pure archetypes that are sort of bland and boring. They each have their own sort of character, while definitely stemming from old archetypes that you might be used to, like a childhood friend character, you know, weird, quirky, sort of alien, or sort of foreign character, and, you know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you're looking for a rom-com, To Love Rue is hard to go wrong. And it's kind of in that weird vein of pseudo-Monster Girl, where it's not really, but it's kind of getting towards that. It's moving in that direction, so this is kind of like a predecessor, kind of, to like a Monster Musume. But yeah, if you're looking for a rom-com, would definitely recommend To Love Rue. And next up, I have the 3rd volume for Konohana Keaton, and this one is a little bit thinner than the other ones. Kind of a little sad that Tokyopop is charging $13 for these, even though they're like standard size, and they don't even like have color pages. Like, as you can see, this is a grayscaled image, so a little disappointing there. Not too happy about that, but it's not the end of the world, and I just have to know that these are a little bit more expensive, so I, you know, put them a little bit lower on the priority. But as for Konohana Keaton, the series itself, it's more just sort of a lighthearted and fluffy, cute girls doing cute things kind of thing, with just a bunch of heartwarming stories for the most part. So, you know, if you're looking for sort of like a blend of not really slice of life, but kind of, it's very calming. There isn't a whole lot of like action-y type stuff or plot points going on. It's more episodic, sort of dealing with the life of these fox girl innkeepers as they sort of, you know, wait on the guests of the sort of Japanese-style hot spring inn type deal. But yeah, it's a bunch of heartwarming stories. If you're looking for something light and fluffy, maybe go check this out. But otherwise, I don't think it's anything special, though I will be going volume by volume. So long as they keep entertaining me, I will continue to pick them up. But this is not like a binge-worthy series, I would say. But yeah, Konohana Keaton Volume 3. Next up, I have Futari Baya Volume 3, which is a 4-koma light, and emphasis on the light shoujo-ai. It's more just a 4-koma slice-of-life comedy series dealing with these 2 girls rooming together, with Yuri subtext, like, sprinkled in, barely. So it's not something you want to pick up if you're a shoujo-ai fan for the shoujo-ai, but more so if you're into cute girls doing cute things, slice-of-life type deal. This 3rd volume didn't really intrigue me a whole lot. I'm probably going to hold off on buying another volume until I either hear that the series changes pace a lot, or something like that, or if I just, for whatever reason, decide to give the series another chance. But for the most part, I was doing this one volume to volume, and this one was kind of a low point, so, you know, this might be the end of this series for me. But if you're looking for 4-koma slice of life, maybe give this one a try. But do keep in mind, for you shoujo-ai and Yuri fans, this isn't really gonna give you what you want, I would imagine. But yeah, Futari Baya Volume 3. Next up, I have the 1st volume of Yuri Bear Storm. This is volume 1 of 3, and because it is only 3 volumes long, I feel fairly comfortable just sort of waiting for the whole series to come out. Any longer than 3 volumes, and I kind of just decided I'm not going to do that, because more than 3 volumes is more of an investment. But yeah, Don't really know a whole lot about this series, other than Base Jalarin is a massive fan of it, so I really don't know what to expect from it, but I've heard good things about the series, and it does have some, or at least it says it has some Yuri in it, if you can see that Girls Love label down there, but yeah, I guess I'll find out what this series is all about when the third and final volume comes out. I believe in, like, May, I want to say, unless the due dates change, because Tokyo Pop likes to do that. But yeah, haven't read this one yet, though I do know a very passionate fan out there that may, or not may, is probably going to watch this video at some point, so shout out to her. But yeah, Yuri Bear Storm Volume 1. Next up, I have Volume 1 of Monster Wrestling, and this is a new Yen Press series dealing with monster girls, and this one is more sort of like, just like, if I could describe it in 2 words, they would be action and boobs, so, you know, if that's what you're looking for, then this might be a series you want to check out. When I say action and boobs, the action part I find is kind of difficult to follow, because, for the most part, the artist either uses white, or black, or, you know, oopsie daisies. But yeah, the blacks are really dark, and sometimes everything is really, really dark, and it's kind of hard to see what all is happening, so the action is a little bit, you know, difficult to follow, but it was decent. If you're looking for a Monster Girl series with some action in it, this might be one to check out. It does have subtextual Yuri in it, so, you know, maybe if you want to get that fix from a little bit of a different avenue, this might be a way to go. But so far, only 1 volume is out. I will be picking up the 2nd volume whenever that comes out, but I believe only 1 volume is out in Japan, so who the heck knows when Volume 2 is going to come out. But yeah, Monster Girl Wrestling Interspecies Combat Girls Volume 1. Next up, I have Black Torch Volume 3. Now, this is a 5-volume series. I've read the first volume. Really enjoyed that volume. As a matter of fact, it was in my 5 series from 2018 you should check out. And so, only 2 more volumes of this series to go. Unfortunately, this is... I've noticed this happening a lot more with Viz volumes, where things are printed sort of off-center. I've noticed this happening with more frequency more recently, which is kind of unfortunate. Not the worst thing to ever happen, but a little bit disappointing nonetheless. But overall, I would definitely recommend checking this series out. It's only 5 volumes long. Check out that first volume and maybe decide to continue it from there. And these volumes do come with a little sort of poster on the inside flap. Don't know what you're supposed to do with those, because if you want to hang it up somewhere, you gotta cut it out of the book, which is, it's a little bit dubious, in my opinion. But yeah, Black Torch, 3 of 5. I will be continuing the series when the 5th volume comes out, because I prefer to binge read series, and since I've read the first volume, I'm fairly confident that I will enjoy this series. Next up, I have a little bit of an out-of-print title, and that is Pure Trance by Junko Mizuno, and unfortunately I can't open this one up because lots of boobs, but as you can probably see from this cover, her art style is incredibly unique. I've never seen really anything like it. Now this one is read left to right, though I may be wrong on this, but I think it was originally written left to right, which is a little interesting, but then again, I could be wrong on that. But as you can see, this book is very, very, very large in trim size, both sort of in height and in width. But yeah, this one was kind of weird. I don't know really what to say about it. I'd have to read through it again to really get sort of a good idea of what I think about this series, but it is 1 volume. Unfortunately, it is out of print, so it does go for higher prices. Luckily, I found it for around the retail cover price, so that was nice. But if you're out hunting and you see this in like a used bookstore or something like that, I would recommend checking it out and giving it a read, but I would not recommend paying a whole lot more than that cover price, unless money is just something that is incredibly disposable for you. But yeah, Pure Trance by Junko Mizuno. Not quite sure what to think about it. I'll have to read it again to sort of get a solid impression of this series. Next up, I bought this one thinking it was a manga, but it turns out it's not. It's a clamp work, Kimono Kimono. I thought it was a manga, but it's not. So I should have done more research, but it is interesting nonetheless. It's just a bunch of a bunch of sort of excerpts about kimonos, because apparently one of the clamp writers is really into kimonos, so it's just a bunch of stuff about kimonos, which is kind of interesting. I have not given it a read, but kind of interested to see what it's about. But a little bit of a lesson learned for me to make sure to do more research when picking up series. You can never really do too much research on series you're picking up, but yeah, kind of an interesting little book here with Kimono Kimono. Never really gotten a book kind of like this. I've never really been a big art book kind of guy, and this is kind of an art book, kind of not. It's kind of strange little oddity when it comes to English released sort of manga type stuff. But yeah, Kimono Kimono. Next up, I have the second volume of Inside Mari by Shuzo Oshimi, published by new publisher Denpa Books, and I've gushed about this series a whole lot. I cannot recommend it enough. It is an absolutely excellent read. Definitely go check it out. I really don't know what else to say. I don't really want to say too much about it because it's kind of spoilery to even sort of talk about some of the plot points, I feel. Just know that it's an excellent series. If you've read any other Oshimi works and you like those, you definitely cannot pass this one up. Cannot recommend it enough. It's an excellent work, and I highly recommend you checking it out. I highly doubt that you will be disappointed, because I have a very strong feeling this will sort of be in one of your top manga that you've read, because it is an excellent work. Next up, I have Kaze-san and Cherry Blossoms, or the 5th volume in the Kaze-san series, and I don't really know what to think about this series, because now they're like out of high school, which is very uncommon that you see. And so the series is continuing on into our two characters' college lives, which is definitely different, and I'm happy to see. Really like Kaze-san. I think it definitely has a nice mix and blend between sort of more innocent Yuri series versus more scandalous Yuri series. I think it blends the two very, very well. And if you're looking to get into a girl-girl romance series or a girl's love story, it's hard to go wrong with Kaze-san. It's an excellent series. I still recommend Girlfriends as the go-to place to start, but, you know, I really can't say like anything about I wouldn't discourage anyone from checking this one out as your first like experience into Yuri. But I've definitely been enjoying Kaze-san, and I'm excited for whenever we get a new volume. Definitely one of my more favorite Yuri series that we have been getting over here in English. And I'm super happy with these 7Cs trim sizes. I think for the larger trim size, sort of like the Viz signature size, I think 7Cs has like some of the best releases. I think the only ones that top it are like these Inio Asano releases by Viz, which are a little bit better, but those are $15 usually, whereas 7C's ones are $14, but their volumes are very, very nice for the larger trim size, so I always enjoy getting nice volumes. But Kaze-san and Cherry Blossoms, love the Kaze-san series. This volume is no exception. Definitely a good place to start for Yuri. Next up, I have the single volume series, Beauty and the Beast Girl. I didn't really know what to expect when I initially first got this volume, or when I clicked the big ol' purchase button, but after reading it, It was excellent. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It was a standout, just sort of standalone story, and even if you're not into Yuri, I think it's still a good, strong story. Obviously, the Yuri, it is, you know, a part of it, and it's hard to separate that from the series itself. But even without that, it's a very good sort of romance story. It's kind of reminiscent, sort of patchwork of maybe other things you've seen, but it definitely sets itself apart enough to be worth the read, and I would definitely recommend checking this series out, even if you're not a Yuri fan, and I hope we get some more series by Neji in the future, because I think they have, like, they know what they're doing when it comes to making these stories, and I'm interested to see sort of what else they put out, because this is the only one we've gotten in English before, and I want to see more of their stuff, so hopefully we get more in the future, but definitely would recommend checking out Beauty and the Beast Girl. Next up, I have My Solo Exchange Diary, Volume 2. This is, of course, the sequel to My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, and this series does reference the original series, so you are going to have to read that first before getting into this one, or at least that's recommended. It's not necessarily necessary, but I definitely recommend that reading order over just jumping right into this sequel. But yeah, it's kind of just, it's more My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. It's just more talking about her life and her experiences, and in my opinion, this is just as good as the original, and if you like the original, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I really don't know what else to say. I definitely recommend checking it out. If you enjoyed the first one, or My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, if you've not read that series yet, I'd recommend checking that out, and then checking this series out. It is only 2 volumes long. If you include My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness, it's 3 volumes, but they're all in these really nice 7 Seas volumes with the, not just black and white, but includes pink, so that's a little interesting, and a little bit, you know, fun. But yeah, definitely recommend My Solo Exchange Diary. Don't pass this one up. Next up, I have Sakuraya Volume 7. I believe the 9th omnibus is going to be the final volume. Either that, or there's going to be a 10th volume that's not an omnibus, because I don't know if this series is 18 or 19 volumes long. But yeah, this is a battle, sort of action-y harem series. I enjoyed the first volume, and I've seen both series of the anime. This is out of focus. There we go, back in focus. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, don't know what else. I cannot talk. Don't know what else to say about the series, but it's almost complete, and I will be reading it in full once it is. But yeah, not much else to say for Sakuraya. Next up, I have the series by Hiroaki Samura, Die Wergelder, not really sure how it's pronounced. Again, I've said I think it's German, but not 100% certain. This is the second omnibus, so it covers volumes 3 through 4 of the original series, which is all that's out in Japan, and we all know how long it takes for omnibuses to come out when we catch up. I'm sure you know how long it takes to get a Vinland Saga volume. It takes a while, because not only do you have to wait for a volume to come out, you have to wait for a whole 2 volumes to come out before you get a new volume, but yeah, this is an interesting story. I'm not exactly sure who I would recommend it to. I just know that there is a group of people I would recommend it to. I just haven't pinpoint what exactly that demographic of people would be. But yeah, I enjoyed this series. And if you're looking for an action series, it's kind of nondescript and it doesn't get the whole picture because it's a very specific type of action, but yeah, I'm sure if you've liked Samura's other works, you'll probably enjoy this one as well. I can't really say because I've not read Blade of the Immortal, which is his, like, big work. Yeah, I'm enjoying this series, and I will be picking up the next volume whenever it decides to come out. Yeah, that is Die Wergelder Volume 2. Next up, I have the 4th volume of the Full Metal editions for Full Metal Alchemist. Don't really know what else to say, though for the longest time, I'm not sure if this is going to appear on the camera, but this, which is a smoke trail from the bullet, as it's ejected, I thought that was dirt for a little bit, and so I was trying to scrub it off, and I was like, what's happening? But no, that's actually just part of the design, as it, the casing leaves the chamber. Yeah, these Full Metal editions, they're hardcover, they're nice. The gluing is good, I'd say too good, because it just, yeah, it fights. It really does not want to be open, which, kind of annoying, not the end of the world. It's not like I can't open the book, but, yeah, does like to fight you, but it's Full Metal Alchemist. I really don't know what else to say, and there are going to be 18 of these volumes, because they are following the Kanzenban releases, so, yeah, 14 more to go, then I'll finally have Full Metal Alchemist in my collection, but, yeah, the 4th Full Metal edition for Full Metal Alchemist. And next up, I have the 2 volumes of the Monster Girl Encyclopedia. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more of these or not. Haven't really gotten into them or really read any of the bios, but they're just kind of neat and interesting books. Definitely for someone that's more interested in, lore, that kind of thing. Yeah. You probably know if you're the kind of person that wants to pick these up, or not, but I decided to pick them up because I am definitely interested in lore. Mythology is definitely something that is of interest to me, and this is definitely in that same vein. Though it's a very specific type of lore created by one person, which is kind of interesting, but I have both of these volumes, and I'm not sure if there's going to be more, but yeah, I will get into them at some point, but again, they're not a story, they're just kind of like little bios or excerpts about different creatures, but yeah, the Monster Girl Encyclopedia, both volumes. Next, I have the 3rd and final classic collection of Captain Harlock. Love these classic collections, gush about them every single time that they come up. Cannot wait for Space Battleship Yamato. Yeah, I hope we get more of these. They haven't announced any more series for this sort of line of publication yet. I'm hoping that they sold well, so that we'll get more series in this line, because I think these books are really nice, and I'd like to see more classic series get published over here in English. But I have not actually gotten into Captain Harlock yet, so I can't really say much about the story, but Seven Seas definitely knows how to release nice, high-quality volumes. Yeah, love these volumes. Can't wait for more. Hopefully we get more series announced for this line. But yeah, for now, this is the final volume for Captain Harlock. And last but not least, I have a series that has been very, very big for some time. It has gotten 2 anime adaptations, I finally decided I'm going to start picking up the volumes, because this really is an excellent series, and that series would be Noragami. And up here I have the Stray Stories volume. I believe this is going to be the only one, so it's just kind of numbered 1, oddly. But aside from that, I have volumes 1 through 15, 16 is on the way, and we have 17 down here at the bottom. It's taken me a while to actually decide to pick up the Noragami volumes, but Noragami is an excellent series. Definitely one I would recommend checking it out. And I think it's kind of nearing its end, maybe. I can sort of feel that from the story beats that are going on in more recent chapters. I could be wrong on that, and it could get extended further. But the feeling I'm getting from sort of what beats are happening in the story would lead me to believe that the series is nearing its conclusion. Yeah, Noragami is an excellent series, currently at 20 volumes in Japan, 19 out here in English, with the 20th volume on the horizon. Excellent series that I would definitely recommend checking out, especially if you're looking for more of a supernatural action series with more of a sort of shonen atmosphere or mood to it. Then I would definitely recommend Noragami or Stray God. Very good series, and one I would recommend, as well as watching the anime, because I think both of those are very well put together and made, and I did enjoy both of those. But yeah, that is the last series I have today, which is Noragami, Stray Stories, volumes 1 through 15, save 16 and 17. Alright, and that will do it for my manga haul for this month of February 2018, coming out a little bit late, sort of coming into March here, but hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, let me know what series you saw in here that you are interested in checking out. Have I encouraged you to check out any series? Are there any series you think I would like specifically? You know, just sort of conversation about the series that I have here, as well as any other similar series, are always welcome. I do enjoy reading the comments, so you can go ahead and leave those down there. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and share, and if you would like to keep up with all of my content, you can either follow me on Twitter, there's a link in the description, or you can hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this manga haul for the month of February 2019. I am Laethas. Goodbye.